Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter Spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great-Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
An episode of The Great-Gildersleeve starring the original Harold Peary. From 76 years ago today, May 5th, 1946, Gildy has gotten himself into a rut. And we thank you for tuning in. On this Thursday, this is the 5th day of May. This is also the 125th day of the year, 240 days remaining until we get to 2023. Christopher Columbus discovering the island of Jamaica on this date in 1494, claiming it for Spain. Mary Keeves became the first woman awarded the U.S. patent in 1809 for a technique of weaving straw with silk and thread. Troops led by Ignacio Zaragoza halted a French invasion in the Battle of Puebla on this date in 1862, spawning Cinco de Mayo. In North Bend, Ohio on this date in 1865, the first train robbery in the U.S. took place. The Music Hall in New York, now known as Carnegie Hall, had its grand opening in 1891. In 1893, a crash on the New York Stock Exchange started the Panic of 1893, a depression. John T. Scope served an arrest warrant for teaching evolution in 1925 in violation of the Butler Act. And it was on this date in 1945, Admiral Karl Donitz, the leader of Germany after Hitler's death, ordered all U-boats to cease offensive operations and return to their bases. In 1961, Alan Shepard became the first American to travel into space, making a suborbital flight of 15 minutes.
0.
Ignition.
Ignition.
We can see the ignition. The rocket's beginning to rise, agonizingly slowly. The astronaut has turned on his clock, and here we go. We're on our way into space with Alan B. Shepard. I'll join you in just a second on another microphone.
Well, I want to again express my congratulations to Alan Shepard. We're very proud of him, Space Committee, who are with us today, and this decoration, which is gone from the ground up. Yeah.
Alan Shepard, the first American in space on this date back in 1961. The 27th Amendment to the Constitution ratified on this date in 1992. It provided that any change in the salaries of members of Congress can only take effect after the next general election, preventing Congress from raising their own salaries. American teenager Michael Fay caned in Singapore for theft and vandalism on this date in 1994. In 2006, CIA Director Porter Goss resigned, that according to President Bush.
Porter's tenure at the CIA was one of transition, where he's helped this agency become integrated into the intelligence community, and that was a tough job, and he's led ably.
No reason given for Goss's resignation. The White House had been in the midst of an administrative shakeup since Josh Bolton took over as chief of staff. Many believe there were mass resignations and firings under Porter Goss due to his punishing critiques of the Iraq invasion and purging the CIA of many people seen as disloyal to President Bush, George W. And preliminary plans for a mosque and cultural center near Ground Zero in New York unveiled on this date in 2010. It set off a national debate over whether the project was disrespectful to 9/11 victims and whether opposition to it exposed anti-Muslim biases. Passing away on this date in history, Napoleon I of France, the man who created Cliff Notes. You know, those wonderful things for college students so they didn't have to read whole books. Clifton Hillgas. Also, the man who sang about Primrose Lane. Life's a holiday on Primrose Lane. Jerry Wallace passing away on this date, and British actress Dana Winter. This is the birth date of Amos and the Kingfish on Amos and Andy, Freeman Gosden. Actor Tyrone Power born on this date. The lovely, lovely wife of Phil Harris, Alice Faye. Ann B. Davis, you remember her as Alice in the Brady Bunch. Singer Johnny Taylor, who sang about the disco lady. And Tammy Wynette, or Divorce, Tammy Wynette, born on this date in history. She is probably best known to people these days as Ursula in The Little Mermaid, or at least the voice of, but she actually was an actress and did a lot of game shows. Pat Carroll, 95 years old today. From Alien and Millennium, Lance Hendrickson is 82. Did a lot of things in his life, but probably best remembered to a lot of us is his time with Monty Python, Michael Palin, 79. From Lord of the Rings, Lamplighter Theater, and Sliders, Jonathan Rhys-Davies is 78. Welsh singer Mary Hopkins, those were the days, my friend, 72 years old. News anchor Brian Williams is 63. From Family Ties, Tina Yothers is 49 years old. She was Topanga on Boy Meets World. Actress Danielle Fishel is 41. He was in The Man of Steel, Dawn of Justice, and Justice League. Henry Cavill is 39. And singers, Adele is 34, Chris Brown is 33. Those just a few of the people who celebrate the 5th day of May as their birthday. And if this happens to be your birthday...
Hi, we're the 4 freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you!
And we'll go back to May 5th, 1946 on this Thursday, an episode of The Great Gildersleeve starring Harold Peary, the original Gildersleeve, in an episode entitled Gildy in a Rut. That'll be coming up next on this Thursday, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox right here on your favorite radio station.
Hi, this is Kyle Horvath with the White Pine County Tourism and Recreation Board. If you want to get away from the big cities and get back to nature this summer, give us a call at 775-289-3720 or visit us online at elinevada.net. There's so much to do and see I can't mention it in 30 seconds, but check out our website and you'll see what Nevada is really all about. elinevada.net or follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Give us a call at 775-289-3720 or visit us online at elinevada.net.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's Medishare. Maybe you've heard switching to Medishare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for Medishare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. Medishare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, an episode of The Great Gildersleeve from May 5th, 1946.
The Kraft Foods Company presents The Great Gildersleeve. It's The Great Gildersleeve, starring Harold Peary, brought to you by the Kraft Foods Company, makers of a complete line of famous quality food products. Now let's get on to Summerfield in the Gildersleeve house. It's a balmy spring evening, and it seems to be whispering something to Gildersleeve. On the surface, he appears to be toying with his after-dinner coffee, but underneath...
By George, I think I might circulate a little this evening. Yes, sir. Time to get back into action. Wonder who I should call up.
What'd you say?
Huh? Just talking to myself, Marjorie. Thinking of going out this evening.
Why don't you call up Mrs. Ransom?
Well, there's always Mrs. Ransom.
You haven't seen her in quite a while.
Week or 10 days. I feel like calling someone else, though. Let's see. Eve Goodwin, maybe. Haven't seen her in months. I might just give her a jingle.
Friday night she has teachers' meeting.
Oh. Well, who else do I know?
Mrs. Ransom.
Besides her.
I give up. Who do you know?
Nobody, I guess. Well, I'll give Leila a break. What the heck?
You better call her.
Call Leila? No, Leila's always available. That's one good thing about Leila. She's always handy and she's always home. I'll just back the car out and take her to the movies. Good old Leila. I'll buy seats in the loads and hold her hand. Oh, there's a light in the parlor. Well, no use being fancy about this. There she comes to the window.
Who is that?
It's me. Put on your hat. We're going to the movies.
Well.
Nuts. Looks like I'll have to be fancy after all. Oh, well. Who does she think she's pushing around? Playing hard to get at her age. Oh, hello, Leila.
Are you trying to break my door down, Throckmorton?
I was only knocking. Come on, let's go to the movies.
No, thank you. And for your further information, I am not particularly flattered by the style of your invitation, blowing your horn.
Yeah, but Leila, I was just trying to save time. Come on, or we'll miss the newsreel.
I'm not going with you, Throckmorton.
Don't tell me you got a date.
I'm afraid you've been taking me a little too much for granted.
Me? I don't know how you could get an idea like that. I've been busy, of course.
So have I.
Huh?
I've been busy too, Throckmorton.
Well, that's fine. Glad to hear it. But look, we don't have to be technical, Leila. We understand each other. And if you're not doing anything...
I'm not, especially with you.
Leila, let's talk this over.
Mr. Gildersleeve, a gentleman does not stick his foot in a lady's door.
But we're old friends. Just let me come in for a minute.
Well, of course it won't mean anything.
Gosh, just because I stay away a while and hurt your feelings, that's no
My
reason...
feelings are not the question, Throckmorton. It happens I have a new interest. Sit down, won't you?
Thanks. What do you mean, a new interest?
His name is Mark Wade. He's a newspaper man.
A newspaper man? You don't want to have anything to do with a newspaper man, Leila. He probably drinks.
Oh, I'm sure not. He's always been a perfect gentleman. That way, I mean.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, in some ways, he's simply outrageous. I've never in my whole life had a man treat me the way he treats me, Throckmorton. You know the first thing he told me? He said I had a funny nose.
I don't think you have. Your nose is okay.
As a matter of fact, I have a very cute nose.
Oh, sure. Your nose is swell.
That's not the point. Somehow Mark just says things to me no one else could say, that's all.
Sounds fresh to me.
Oh, he is. Like the way I met him. I was taking a little news item down to the Indicator office. I always talk to Miss Clement, the society editor, and she introduced me to Mr. Wade. We talked on a minute, and then he said, Mrs. Ransom, I'm going to a fire. How'd you like to come along? Can you imagine?
A fire's no place to take a girl.
Well, of course I declined. But the next night he phoned and asked me to dinner. He said he'd forgotten my nose and he wanted to check it.
Well, I suppose he took you to some cheap newspaper dive.
I tried not to notice, but the dinner cost $4, and he left a 50-cent tip.
Oh, well. Just trying to make an impression.
Oh, Throckmorton, he doesn't care what people think. It was an Italian restaurant. The all in his little place. Oh, and Mark was so funny. He pretended to talk Italian to the waiter. Almost drove the poor man crazy.
Doesn't sound very funny to me.
Well, you have to hear him do it. We went to the movies afterwards, and he offered to wrestle me to see who paid for the ticket.
What?
He was only joking, of course.
This guy is nothing but a show-off, Leila.
Well, naturally, I wouldn't expect you to appreciate him, Throckmorton. He has such imagination. Everything he does is so unexpected. He calls me Stinky. I never realized a Yankee could be charming before.
I don't want to hear any more about this fellow, Leila. Can't we go to the movies?
Oh, we had more fun last night. I didn't get home until 4 o'clock in the morning. Mark's car broke down. He's so cute.
What's cute about having a bum car? I suppose you had to walk home.
I should say not. He hired a milk wagon.
What?
A milk wagon was coming along, and Mark talked to the man into taking us home. Did you ever hear anything so crazy?
Leila, if you ask me, you're the one that's crazy. Are you serious about this cheap comedian?
He's not a cheap comedian. Down underneath, he's a very fine person.
You can't be serious about a newspaper man.
Well, I don't know whether I am or not. I decided we shouldn't see each other for a week as a test.
Oh, my goodness.
It's been 3 days now, but Mark doesn't play fair. He sends me some kind of a present every day to keep his memory green, he says. This morning he sent me a phonograph record. He's crazy about music, with the craziest note. Something about, I hope this tender lyric will convey the passion seething in my soul. But look at the record.
Record?
Mm-hmm.
This it?
Yeah.
Cement mixer. Never heard of it.
Oh, you're behind the times, Throckmorton.
Well, anybody can send a girl a record. Can this fellow sing?
No, at least I haven't heard him.
Don't worry, if a fellow like that could sing, you'd know it. Would you like me to sing for you, Leila?
I'm not really in the mood, Throckmorton.
Oh, come on. Thine is my heart alone. What do you say, huh?
I don't care much for that song.
Well, some other song then, huh, Leila? One of your favorites. Speak to me of love and...
I just don't feel like playing, Throckmorton.
Oh, come on. One song for old time's sake. Come on, Leila.
Well, don't push me. Goodness.
I know a nice song. I don't think I've ever sung it to you, but it's nice.
What is it?
When Day is Done. Do you know it? Yeah, that's it. That's the right key, too. When day is done and shadows fall, I dream of you. When day is done, I think of all the joys we knew. That yearning, returning to hold you in my arms. Won't go, love, I know, love, without you night has lost its charms. When day is done and grass is wet with twilight's dew, my lonely heart is sinking with the sun. Although I miss your tender kiss the whole day through, I miss you most of all when the day is done. Well?
That's the trouble with you, Throckmorton. You're in a rut.
Leila.
previously on Classic Radio Theater addressed the change from Harold Peary to Willard Waterman. Let me just touch on it again here. CBS was in the middle of the talent raids in the late 40s, early 50s, tempting away Jack Benny and other NBC stars. Peary offered a lucrative CBS deal of his own in 1950 after he chafed over NBC's and Kraft's reluctance to let him use his singing voice more often on Gildersleeve and to give him a bigger part in the show's ownership than he already had. Well, radio historian Gerald Nachman in Raised on Radio said Peary and his agents at MCA had negotiated fruitlessly to get Peary a bigger stake in the show, and when CBS began luring Benny, also an MCA client, and others away from NBC, mostly by offering the performers better capital gains terms against the still high post-war U.S. taxes than NBC was willing to do, Peary signed with CBS. Well, Kraft, who sponsored The Great Gildersleeve and owned the intellectual properties, refused to move the show to CBS. Gildersleeve remained on NBC with Willard Waterman, whose voice strongly resembled Peary's and who had known Peary since their radio days in Chicago. He replaced Peary in the title role. Waterman would not appropriate the famous Gildersleeve laugh, believing that Peary alone should have rights to that trademark, but otherwise slipped easily into the role. So now you know why the change was made. It was all over money. May 5th, 1946, The Great Gildersleeve on this Thursday, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We will have the news from that date in 1946 when we continue. But first, we have some very important messages from your favorite radio station.
No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How would you like to learn the secrets to lose 3 to 5 pounds a week easily without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt by Med Diet. For the last 2 decades, we've been helping people just like you that have pounds they want to shed. We've helped millions of people lose thousands and thousands of pounds over the years. And now it's your turn. Learn the secrets of how to lose weight with one simple phone call. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a money-back guarantee. If you're ready to start losing weight right now, call right now to learn more about your risk-free order to Body Sculpt.
Call for your risk-free offer. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. That's 800-738-5332.
Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt. Your shoulder hurts. Your elbow and back are constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore. Am I right? Well, here's something you haven't tried. Pain Magic. Pain Magic is not available at any drugstore. The only place you can get it is by calling the special toll-free number I'm about to give you.
And to make things even better, call right now and find out about our buy one, get one free offer. We're so confident it'll work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase. No prescription required.
Call now to learn how you can get Pain Magic and get rid of your pain. Remember, your results may vary.
800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. That's 800-492-8164.
Thanks for spending part of your Thursday with us here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, an episode of The Great Gildersleeve as it was broadcast Sunday, May 5th, 1946. In the newspapers of that Sunday 76 years ago, these were some of the headlines. The historic siege of Alcatraz prison ended yesterday with the official announcement that the last of the conspirators had been taken into custody. 2 guards and 3 convicts are known to have died in the struggle. 14 guards were wounded. 3 convicts are dead. The total number of convict casualties not immediately made known. Representative Walter Norblad, the Republican of Oregon, yesterday became a self-appointed human guinea pig to show that the Navy is throwing away edible food. He ate a luncheon salvaged from the Navy's Astoria, Oregon garbage dump with easy disregard for a Navy warning that he would get dysentery. Norblad, a World War II Army veteran, carried his garbage heap luncheon into the house restaurant shortly after noon and sat down to a fare of canned pork, dehydrated cranberries, and lemonade made from canned lemon juice powder. He ate with apparent enjoyment and appreciation. He said, "I think it's better food than you get in the house restaurant." Of the Navy warning, he said, "That's a lie." U.S. Army units began evacuating Fürth, 8 miles south of Nuremberg, as fire swept out of control through the giant Munich ordnance works and thunderous explosions rocked the countryside. Fuchs, a mile and a half from the ordnance works, which were believed to contain at least 300,000 tons of shells, bombs, TNT powder, and poison gas of the deadliest types. Russia has informed the Chinese nationalist government that all Russian railroad personnel will be withdrawn from Manchuria because a number had been killed by nationalist troops. Under the Sino-Soviet treaty, it was agreed the Manchurian Railroad would be jointly operated by the Russians and the Chinese. Withdrawal of Russian technicians is considered a serious blow that may close down the railroads and strand nationalist troops in Manchuria without adequate lines of communication. President Truman issued a report yesterday calling the effects of the coal strike a national disaster and warning its full impact has only barely begun to be felt. The report came as the Senate rang with demands for government action and denunciation of John L. Lewis. Whether it was designed to lay a basis for government seizure of the struck coal mines became immediately a matter for conjecture. The report said manufacturing plants are closing down all over the country as a result of the month-old soft coal strike, and yet the American people have barely begun to feel the full impact of this national disaster. The report prepared for the chief executive by the Office of War Mobilization and Reconversion from the facts gathered by the Civilian Production Administration. Several Arab groups are reportedly planning to send a delegation to Moscow to ask the Russians to champion their cause in Palestine before the United Nations. That from an Arab League spokesman yesterday in Cairo. The Arab delegation would not only ask the Russians to bring the subject of Palestine before the UN, but would also request the Soviet Union to support the Arabs in Palestine against the British-American report. The House of Representatives voted unanimously to increase the salary of the Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, J. Edgar Hoover, from $10,000 a year to $14,000 a year. The vote, subject to Senate action, came after Republicans and Democrats both praised the FBI chief. And those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Sunday, May 5th, 1946, on your radio, The Great Gildersleeve. The conclusion you'll hear next on this Thursday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Are you suffering with arthritis or osteoporosis? Do you have diabetes? Did you know that these are just two of the hundreds of diseases that have seen improvement with Dr. Wallach's incredible longevity products? You can't get them at a health food store. The only way to get them is to call us at 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Do you have heart disease, fibromyalgia, or high blood pressure? Do you have a terrible time losing weight? Dr. Wallach can help. He was a veterinarian and cured diseases in animals. He felt that he could do the same for humans, so he became a physician. Over 50 years of research and helping people like you goes into every bottle of Dr. Wallach's amazing discoveries. Do you want to feel better? Learn how to treat the cause of your problem rather than covering up the symptoms with drugs. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065.
We'll wrap up this week of Classic Radio Theater with an episode of Fort Laramie starring Raymond Burr, Never the Twain, from May 6, 1956. 66 years ago, the daughter of Spotted Tail and a soldier fall in love. That'll be on Friday's Classic Radio Theater, but now the conclusion of The Great Gildersleeve, starring Harold Peary, 76 years ago, May 5th, 1946.
Well, fate, it seems, has pulled a knife on Gildersleeve. All winter, he lay dormant, too comfortable and too lazy to exert himself much socially. Now comes spring, and once again, the sap is stirring. He steps next door to pay his respects to his charming neighbor and finds that a stranger has stepped in ahead of him. That kind of thing can shake a man. It has shaken Gildersleeve. He comes home from his evening with Leila in a daze and wanders disconsolately off to bed, but not to sleep. Instead, he lies there tense and staring in the dark.
Nuts. I'll try my stomach. Now, I just won't think about her. Leila, how could you do this to me? I know I haven't been around much lately, but gee whiz, I thought we had an understanding, sort of. I mean, gosh, after all, we've been to each other, almost. Why, we were even engaged once. Have you forgotten that? Does that mean nothing to you? Tss, newspaperman. Think I might at least have been notified. Might at least have been given first refusal. Leila, you're not listening to me. You don't care, that's why. You don't care what happens to me. You know what you are? You're hard-hearted. I don't like to say it, Leila, but you are. All you ever think about is yourself. Why don't you think about me for once? You want to know, I don't think you're such a wonderful piano player either. That's telling you. Why didn't I say those things to her when I was over there? Why I didn't think of them then? Nuts. I can't sleep. No use just lying here like this. Maybe if I read for a while, I might go down in the kitchen and look for a bite to eat. Might as well be eating as just lying awake.
Uncle Mort, is that you?
Huh? Yes, it's me. Go back to sleep, my dear. Sorry if I disturbed you.
What are you doing up? Are you all right?
Oh, yes. Go back to bed.
But what are you doing wandering around in the middle of the night?
I couldn't sleep, that's all.
Poor Unky, what's wrong?
Nothing. Marjorie, as long as you're up, tell me something. And I want an honest answer.
What is it?
Do I seem old to you?
No older than usual. Why?
Go back to bed. Hello, Peavy.
What can I do for you this fine May morning? Lovely day, isn't it? Yeah, I remarked to Mrs. Peavy as I was leaving this morning. Well, what happened, Mr. Gildersleeve? You look a little under the weather.
I know. I had a bad night last night. No sleep.
Oh, too bad. Something keep you awake?
I guess so.
Well, that kind of thing can tell on a man pretty quickly.
Yes, I know.
Under the eyes, particularly.
Let's not dwell on it, shall we? Peavy, have you got any kind of a tonic or anything?
Mr. Gildersleeve, you've come to the right place.
That's why I came.
Yes, I'm happy to say the tonics are coming through very nicely now. Not in great quantities, you understand, but enough to tone up our regular customers.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
During the war, you know, we weren't able to get a lot of them. I understand some of the materials were going into the atomic bomb.
Oh. Well, I don't want anything like that. Just something to give me a little lift, Peavy. I don't want to go up like a rocket.
Mr. Gildersleeve, I suspect you're joking.
Yes.
Well, let me see. We have all the standard remedies here. Mooney's cyclophosphate, Dodd's vitapepsin, Dr. Fagan's nature compound, Bilbo's beef, iron, and wine, Plug's liver extract, Goodwin's household ammonia. Hey, how did that get up there? Wrong shelf.
Which one would you say was the best, Peavy?
Which is the best?
Yes.
Well, they're all excellent, Mr. Gildersleeve. It's a matter of taste.
Don't be silly. Nobody ever took a tonic for the taste, Peavy. Which is the best?
Well, as I say, they're all excellent.
How about that one there in the brown tissue paper wrapper?
Oh, I've heard that's excellent. Excellent.
Huh? What about that nasty-looking green one there?
That? Excellent.
You know what I think, Peavy? I don't think you have any faith in any of them.
Well, I wouldn't say that. Well, these are all nationally advertised brands. I'm told they do an excellent job.
They do, eh?
When properly administered.
When properly...
Under the guidance of a physician.
Oh, I see.
Of course, I have one here, not quite so well known. This one only came in yesterday. It's just been released by the Army.
Oh, by the Army?
Army surplus. I'm told it cost the Army $8 a bottle.
Oh?
We're disposing of it for 39 cents.
Is it any good?
You know the Army, Mr. Gildersleeve. They demand the best.
What's in it?
Everything.
Will it help me to sleep?
It won't keep you awake.
All right, wrap it up.
Well, here's Judge Booker. Good morning, Judge.
Gentlemen.
Hello, Judge.
Why, Gildy, old man.
I know. I had a bad night.
Under the eyes there.
Yes, I know. Peavy's giving me something for it.
Why so pale and wan, fond lover?
Who told you?
Told me what?
You've been talking to Leila.
I haven't seen Leila in 4 or 5 days. What's she got to do with it anyway?
Nothing.
Leila keeping you awake nights, is she?
None of your business? Oh, shut up.
I thought you'd sort of lost interest in Leila, Gilder.
So did I, confound it.
After all, you could have married her there once.
I could again if I wanted to.
Well, now, I don't know. You're not getting any younger, you know.
Neither is she.
Certainly. But does she know it?
Why, you old goat?
Sure, I'm an old goat. So is Peavy, but we admit it, don't we, Peavy?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. Another day I might admit it, Judge, but this spring weather, I've got a half mind to close up early.
You do that, Peavy. Take the rest of the day off.
But, Mr. Gildersleeve, what about your tonic, don't you?
Give it to the judge, Peavy. I know something quicker.
All right, Commissioner, you're next. Climb right up in the chair there. Sorry to keep you waiting.
That's all right, Floyd.
Oh, thanks, Doc. Thanks a lot. See you around. Regards to the wife. Take care now. Cheapskate. Only guy in town that hasn't raised his tip since the war started. Well, how's it going, Commissioner? Been doing any... Commissioner, what happened?
I had a bad night, Floyd. I'd rather not hear any more about it.
Put them things under your eyes.
Well, don't tell me about them. Do something about them.
Okay, I'll try.
I want you to give me the works, Floyd. I want you to make me look 10 years younger.
Well, that's quite an order, Commissioner. I ain't no miracle worker, you know. I ain't no Elizabeth Arden. All I claim to be is a darn good barber and a fair tenor. But I'll do what I can. Is that too tight for you?
No, that's okay.
Guess we better start with a massage, huh? Unless you want to go in for surgery.
For what?
Oh, only joking, Commish. My surgery's unintentional, you might say.
What do you think about my mustache, Floyd? Do you think that's a little droopy?
No. Why? Somebody been making cracks?
No, I just wondered if it couldn't be a little more youthful.
Well, we could heist it a little, maybe. You got a date or something, Commissioner? Or just worried about holding on to your job?
Well, I have a sort of a date.
Sort of a date? What kind of a date is that?
Well, this party, I won't mention her name, but she's gone and got some notions all of a sudden about youth.
Oh.
Afraid I'm going to have to do some missionary work there.
Mrs. Ransom running around with some younger fella, is she?
Where did you get that idea?
Well, what else? You come in here and want your mustache heisted. There must be something behind it. It ain't so long it's getting in the soup.
What makes you think it's Mrs. Ransom?
Well, ain't it?
This fellow's got the darndest line, Floyd. He insults her. Tells her she's funny looking, and she loves it.
Sure, it's them little attentions that gets him.
I swear I think this guy is crazy. He took her for a ride in a milk wagon. Can you imagine that?
I seen a fellow do that in a movie once. Maybe he did, too. Only in the movies, they usually bring the horse home to breakfast.
But, Floyd, what way is that to behave with a lady?
Well, it's not so dumb. Women don't want a man who's faithful. They just want a man to be cute.
Well, maybe.
How do you think I and the wife have stuck it out all these years? I just let things go along, and when I see they've gone as far as they can and she's about ready to crown me, I pull something. I get cute on her. You can't hit a guy when he's cute.
I don't know, Floyd. It would just never occur to me to take Mrs. Ransom out in a milk wagon.
Oh, you don't want to take her out in a milk wagon anyway. That's been done already. Be original. If you want to make a hit with her, take her out in something worse.
What's worse than a milk wagon?
I don't know. There must be something. How about a hearse?
A hearse?
Sure, that'd kill her. You know Fred Seipel? He's got a hearse.
Seipel the undertaker?
Who else? Fred's a good kid, and he likes a joke, too. You know, he don't let on when he's on a job, but he can laugh with the best of them. He'd lend you his hearse, or rent it anyway.
Oh, Floyd, I don't know. A hearse?
What can you lose? You're not doing so hot as it is.
Well, that's true, Floyd, but still...
Faint heart never won any fair ladies, you know.
How do I know she'd like it?
Well, you already know she goes for that kind of stuff. Now, look, Commissioner, get the picture.
Huh?
She hears a horn blowing out front. She runs to the front door. She opens it, and there's you in a top hat sitting in a hearse. How could she resist you?
Floyd, do you expect me to be... Well, do you think maybe you'll be seeing Seipel in the next...
Sure, I'll be seeing Fred. I'll see him today, probably. Be glad to take it up with him. Now, relax, and let me get on with this massage.
Right.
Commissioner, relax.
Floyd, you don't think maybe she'd feel squeamish?
Why should she? You don't have to make her ride and back.
Well, thanks a lot, Mr. Seipel. I'm certainly much obliged. It's a nice little job you got here. I'll be careful with it.
You've driven Pierce Arrows before, have you?
Oh, yes. That is, they drive just like any other car, don't they?
I guess so. Just keep her under 35, that's all. I had new rings installed, and they're not worked in yet.
Oh, I will. Yes, indeed. Has a horn, has it?
Right there.
Fine horn.
I don't have much call for it, actually. Well, good luck, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Thanks again, Mr. Seipel. Hope I can do as much for you sometime. All clear there?
All clear.
Oh! Here we go. Oh, brother. Just wait till she sees me in this. Will she think I'm crazy? Where is she? Everybody will think I'm crazy if I have to keep this up.
Throckmorton, if that's you out there, I've asked you not to sit in front of my house and blow your horn.
But Leila... Guess you didn't notice. Have to try again.
Mr. Gildersleeve, must I call the police?
But Leila, I'm in a hearse. Now what? All dressed up and no place to go.
The Great Gildersleeve is played by Harold Peary. It is written by John Whedon and Sam Moore. The music is by Jack Meakin. This is John Lang speaking for the Kraft Foods Company and inviting you to listen in again next week for the further adventures of the Great Gildersleeve.
Good night.
May 5th, 1946, The Great Gildersleeve here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Please thank this radio station and support their advertisers. It is their kindness and courtesy that allow us to be with you each and every time we roll around on a Thursday here on your favorite station. Also, you can find our shows anywhere. Classic Radio Theater is available at iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, TuneIn, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Amazon, and Facebook. Just search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. That's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Or at my webpage, classicradio.stream. Have yourself a great Thursday, won't you please? Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.